Hello all. Good evening and welcome to today's class. We welcome once again to today's today's class 14. Okay, yes, I had to go and if you notice we're having some echoing from YouTube, so I had to go and change that. All right, thank you everybody and welcome to today's class. Today is class 14 and we will be having a very interesting session today with our facilitator, Dr. Arit Efretuei, once she joins. But before we start that session, we would, as usual, do an introduction of the program. I want to do something today. Right? So I want a student that has been a participant. Sorry, I said I don't like calling people students because you're all adults, you're all business owners and all of that. So I want a participant that has been attending this session over and over and has been listening to our introductions. I want two people, one person to introduce GSAI, that's the organization or we're hosting this, and I want the second person to introduce this project, the 2025 Food Safety Commemoration Project. So if you think you can do any of those two, let me see by lift of hands and I will unmute you and you will carry that out. In the next few minutes, if we have students that can introduce GSAI, you've been part of the classes in the class for the past 7 weeks. Today makes it complete 7 weeks. Today is Saturday. We've been together for the past 7 weeks. If you can introduce GSAI in very short terms, let me see your hand. Can you hear me? Okay, please, in the meantime, confirm you can hear me. Let me be sure you can hear me. Okay. So currently I have okay. Oh wow. I was about to be embarrassed. Okay, so I have 4 people, but I'm just going to call as it appears on my screen because I need just 2 people. So first, Pastor Samuel, you're going to be introducing yourself, introducing where you're calling from, and GSAI. Introduce GSAI. You have been part of their class for all this while. So let us hear Pastor Samuel. You've been asked to unmute. You can unmute and speak. Pastor Samuel Oluseyi, you can speak now. Pastor Samuel Oluseyi, are you there? You've been asked to unmute and speak. If you're speaking, we cannot hear you, Pastor Samuel Oluseyi. Okay.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening, Pastor Samuel.
Please, I'm very sorry. Can you come again, sir? I want to connect, but the network is somehow here. Maybe because somebody is interrupting my call with a call.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, I will repeat myself, but we'll just move on to the next person and then we'll now repeat ourselves again. In the meantime,
Okay,
please just get your internet set. Okay, so we will go to Adeyemi Fatimo. At least I recognize this name. Adeyemi Fatimo, you will introduce yourself, where you're calling from, and of course, what GSAI is all about. You have the mic. You've been asked to unmute Adeyemi Fatimo.
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Adeyemi.
Everyone. My name is Adeyemi Fatima, and I'm calling from Lagos, Ojo to be precise. So, thank you so very much for this opportunity to join the program, and I want to be sure that most of us too are grateful for this opportunity. You've not only educate us about farming itself, you've brought a lot of people on board to teach us food safety standard and for us to understand the food safety in agriculture, farm hygiene, biosecurity measures, as well as safe soil management practice. The lecture has been amazing, I must say. And one of the things that I've learned that is even more important to all farmers is cleaning. I mean, personal hygiene, farm hygiene, which is very, very much important because under this World Food Safety Organization, if it is not safe, it is not food, and if it is not food, if it's not consumable, then it is not food. So I've learned a lot so far. Thank you so very much. Thank you so much to Daniel Black. Thank you to all other moderators so far. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, Adeyemi, thank you for your good words. Thank you for doing a recap of the class. But unfortunately, you've not answered the question.
Okay, sir.
Or you've not done the assignment, and I will move on to the
Okay.
next person. So mute yourself. Mute yourself. If we still don't have, we can come back to you. You have used up your own speaking slot, so please mute yourself. Thank you. All right. So the question is, I want, before we start class every day, we usually introduce GSAI, we introduce the project. So I want the students to do the introduction today. So who can introduce GSAI, as in the organization? Who can introduce what GSAI is all about? What GSAI is all about? And who can introduce what GSAI is all about and what yes, that is the first introduction, what GSAI is all about. Then before we now even move into what the project is all about. So I want students who have been attending the class from the beginning and who can conveniently, comfortably introduce the organization GSAI. Okay, so I'll move to Kehinde Idowu. Yeah, I think I recognize this name. To Kehinde Idowu, you have been asked to unmute. You tell us where you are joining from, you tell us your name, and then you let us introduce GSAI as an organization.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Kehinde Abisayodo. I'm participating from Akwa in Lagos State. GSI, Growth for Sustainable Agric Initiative, is all about bringing sustainable development to agriculture and to farmers in general. The objective of the GSAI is in alignment with the sustainable development, the 17 sustainable development goals of the United Nations, which is to actually catalyze and accelerate positive change in agricultural practices and also make life comfortable for farmers and everybody along the agricultural value chain. And yes, I actually focus on the ultimate, in which case to ensure that the end user, which is the consumer, have good health. And in this regard, the objectives of the GSI is to ensure best farm practices and safety of farm products. In which case, ensuring the health of the ultimate consumer. And this is done right away by ensuring that the farmer follow take due diligence in his farm operation, ensuring hygiene at every processes, and making sure that the products come out of high quality, safer for consumption and for end users. And not only this, to also increase the income of the farmers by bringing out a safe and quality food products that can be acceptable even for even at the international market. In which case, the effort of GSAI is not only to bring farmers to compliance to standards, is also to make them conform to international standards, and also to enhance increase in the income of farmers as much as their products are more acceptable to international standard, and also accelerating food security in Nigeria. Over time, some supermarkets have been rejecting some of the products of farmers because it's substandard, because of quality. But with this training, it helps to make farmers cultivate a habit of hygiene, a habit of keeping to standard, a habit of keeping to statutory regulations, and so that at the end of the day, farmers' agri-produce will be safe, will be standard, will be acceptable.
Mr. Kende.
Yes,
all
sir.
right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You have gone around the world in 360 in less than 5 minutes. Thank you so much. Yes, you have actually highlighted on what GSAI is all about, and you even went ahead to highlight on what the project we are currently doing. Somebody is saying here he tried. Yes, he did. Indeed, he tried.
Thank you,
okay,
sir.
thank you, Mr. Kende Idowu.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I will just, like I promised, to take 2 people. So I'll take the second person to answer the second question about. So yes, Kende Idowu has done a good job in on what GSAI is all about, and has also delved into what the project is all about. But I want somebody to give me in details what the project is all about from the GSAI angle. Yes, we know it's about food safety, but how did the project come about? We've been introducing this every class, so I need somebody to tell me what the details of this current project. I can still see hands up, so I'll call Oboho Musa. Oboho Musa, I'm sorry if I've mutilated your name, but please pardon me. You've been asked to unmute. Oboho Musa. Oboho Musa, please unmute. If you're speaking, we cannot hear you. Unmute. I have asked you to unmute. Oboho Musa, are you here? Okay, yes, you've unmuted. So go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm Oboho from Warri Delta State.
Excellent.
I'm pleased to be in this training. So it is my pleasure to see how GSAI have been introduced as a organization giving out a sustainable agriculture and initiative to Nigeria youth and beyond. For the purpose of this training is about what food security, how our food production can be secure. So all the training from the first day to this day we have been deliberating, enjoying the reason why we all, the participants, to see the importance of how we can secure our food, especially not only at the local level, rather to the international level. Series of lectures are being given, and how each participant have to put in practical knowledge to what we are being received in all this training. This training also will also enable all participants to go back to their various states to carry out a step-down training so that they can educate rural farmers on how they can engage then the importance of food security in their individual farming. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lucky. Thank you so much, Mr. Kende Idowu, and everybody that attempted. It's my pleasure to announce that those 2 people that have been able to attempt and talk about GSAI and also talk about the project, yeah, all of you are correct, and automatically you will have qualified. We have 6 slots for the step down training. Both of you have qualified as for 2 slots in the step down training. You will be receiving the support that we have put together for you to carry out step down training in your community. So please, Lucky Musa and Kende Idowu, please, you will send a message to me via DM, or if you message any of the admins and identify yourself, we will take it up from there. So in the last class, we will be having a quiz to identify the 4 other beneficiaries of the support. The support is going to come in form of both, it's going to come in terms of financial and material support. And 6 people are going to be supported to carry out step-down trainings in their communities. So, yes. So thank you, those 2 people. I just thought to just throw that quiz and get some of us to be here. And it's going to, so on the last day, we are going to be having a quiz. In the next class on Tuesday, I'm going to show us, we are going to do a demo quiz. It's going to be a short quiz. It's not something, don't get scared. It's not jam question. It's very simple questions. We are going to do a demo quiz here on Zoom. It's going to be here on Zoom. All you need is, those that usually go to YouTube, please, for you to participate in the quiz, you have to be here on Zoom. So on the last class, that's on the 27th, which is a Friday. Normally our class ends on Saturday, but remember that on 28th is our summit, so we cannot hold a class on that day. So our last class is on Friday, 27th, and we will be having a quiz here on Zoom. And I will also want to advise us to come early. We'll be having the head of Agric Extension, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, who is representing the Minister of Agriculture. He will be addressing us here on the 27th. He is coming to formally close this training. So please, I would like people to come early. I would also like you people to make sure that other of your friends that are part of this training will come out. He should not come here and be seen. As of now, we have only 64 participants. Because he will be addressing us first before the trainer for that day. I want him to come in and see at least 100 to 150 participants. This Zoom class can take 500 people. So please, on that day, and then he is a very, very generous and playful person. So you can come, and if you impress him, you can also get extra benefits. So please, I am starting now to inform us on the 27th, which is Friday, we will be having our last class. And the director, Agric Extension Department of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, will be addressing us. And he's coming to represent the Minister of Agriculture, and he will be closing this meeting, this training. So please come on time. And on that same day, after the training, we will have a quiz to select the 4 others that will be part of the step-down training. Based on our sponsors, if our sponsors can extend beyond 6, we will also take others, but for now we have only 6, and that is what we'll be taking. So before we go on, before we continue to our training for today, we will also be inviting a partner, someone that has partnered with us and has made today possible. She has been the one that has helped us to have our Zoom. When you come into Zoom, we are recording, we are streaming on YouTube, everything is easy, everything is seamless. She has been a very instrumental partner, and she has a message for us today. She'll be taking the next 10 minutes to talk to us about something you can participate in to further develop yourself, to further grow yourself. Even as a farmer, it is important that you also develop yourself. You do not just limit yourself to the knowledge of farming. So please, with your digital hands, could you put your hands together as we welcome Patience Ukange. Patience Ukange, you have the mic for the next 10 minutes.
Okay, hello everyone. Hello sustainable farmers. I greet you from Abuja, Nigeria. My name is Patience Ukange, and I sincerely want to appreciate my very own mentor, Mr. Black, for this opportunity. Thank you so much, sir. So I'll be speaking to us real quick. Like you heard, I have 10 minutes. And right now I think I have 9 left. So I'll be sharing my screen with you. Kindly let me know once you can see my screen. Can you see my screen, and let me know how you can see it? Can we see my screen?
Yes, you can see it. You can see it.
All right, beautiful. Can you still see it? I see that it stopped sharing.
We are seeing your screen. We can still see your screen.
All right, beautiful.
Please unmute again. I just muted everybody. Please unmute again, Patience. Patience, if you're speaking, you're muted. Please unmute again. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, beautiful. So as you can see on your screens, we have a conversation today about UPG, sustainability leadership. And UPG means United People Global. It is a global organization that supports individuals and organizations to carry out causes that will contribute to a sustainable world. So today I'll be giving us a little information about UPG, and what I'm currently doing here with us is called mini training. So at UPG, we have the opportunity to be trained as young leaders across different countries of the world on sustainable practices. So in our different niches, in our different countries, with our different backgrounds and different academic understanding, UPG gives us the opportunity to be able to go out into the world and contribute significantly to a sustainable world. So UPG has so many initiatives, but for today, I'll be speaking to us about the sustainable UPG Sustainable Leadership Program. And this program is currently what I'm undergoing. It is a 9 weeks program that allows sustainable leaders to go through the practices, just like what you're going through here. UPG does this exact thing, right? And then gives you an opportunity at the end of the program for a few persons to travel out to the United States to also have an opportunity to be trained there in person on sustainable practices. So what is sustainability? When we talk about sustainability, I want to believe it is not a new word, considering that we have sustainable farmers here. So I just want to give us a quick definition of sustainability. So whenever you hear the word sustainability, this should come to your mind. So you can see this definition here on your screen. Sustainability is about ensuring that future generations inherit at least the same access to opportunities and resources as we do have today. If you can see on my screen clearly, you would see that I have the at least in caps lock. What that means is that particular phrase is very important. So we are actually meant to live today and then make opportunities, more opportunities available for future generations. But if we are unable to make more opportunities for them, at least they should be able to enjoy the same opportunities as we do enjoy right now. And it's so unfortunate that this is not the case, right? We're speaking of sustainability, but this is not actually what we're practicing. If you can give yourself like a rewind back 5 years ago, there's so many challenges we're currently facing today that we were not facing like 5 years ago. So when you look around you, since we have farmers here, you see low yields from your crops, you see distorted rainfalls and all of that. So most of that has happened because of some practices that we've engaged as humans that are not sustainable. So that's what brought us here. So UPG actually helps you as an individual or an organization to practice sustainability effectively. So I'll be sharing information, something very important about UPG and how we go about these sustainable practices. UPG advocates for the UN SDGs. I also want to believe that we have sustainable leaders here. And so the UN SDG shouldn't be something very new to any of us here. But even if it's new to you, UN SDG means United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. These are 17 global goals that the world came together to bring to ensure that we live sustainably with both on land, in the air, and in the sea at large. So UPG supports this cause, sustainability, through some very powerful pillars that we work with. And we have 4 of these pillars. So I'm going to be speaking with us about these pillars. I will share to us what these pillars are and how we can utilize these pillars, because these 4 pillars are actually open to both individuals and organizations. So whoever you are and in whatever sector you are in, if you are able to leverage this, you would meet up with whatever impact you want to make in your niche. So the 4 pillars, we also call them the ABCs of UPG. And A here represents awareness. We have B, which represents belief. We have collaboration, and then we have community. And when we talk about awareness in UPG, we have this slogan we use, it is possible. So what is really possible, you might want to know? It is possible that you can understand the challenges that are facing your community. It is possible that you can understand the solutions that can address these challenges that you are being faced in your community, or the challenges you're currently facing as farmers. It is possible for you to understand these challenges, and it is also possible for you to understand the solutions to these challenges. So when we're talking about awareness in UPG, we're talking about it is possible. So the second pillar is believe. And the slogan we have for believe is, yes, we can. And when I talk about belief goes beyond just having the knowledge which awareness brings to us. It steps into you accepting that you can do something, and then taking action into seeing that you are doing something to address that particular challenge you've learned so much about in the course of awareness. So UPG strongly believes that every individual can make a difference. Every individual can make a change. So UPG also believes that collaboration is key as we talk about sustainability. So when you talk about sustainability, UPG believes that sustainability is very, that sustainability is doable, is achievable through collaboration. And the slogan we use here is, let's work together. So if you are here and you're currently doing, you're practicing agriculture, maybe at an individual scale, at a low scale, at a very small scale, you should begin to think of ways to make it larger. Who can you collaborate with to make what you're currently doing bigger? Who can you collaborate with to bet that idea, that big idea you have, that will provide a solution to maybe, it could be in the agricultural sector, it could be in any other sector. So it's always very important that we consider collaboration. The last pillar, which is community. The slogan we have for community at UPG is, you are not alone. So when UPG says you are not alone, it means that you have a community. It means that you can fall back to somebody who also has the same mindset as you do when it comes to sustainability. So if you've been practicing sustainability, you would agree with me that it has been a difficult task. It has not been an easy task. There are days that it gets really overwhelming with a lot of engagement. You're not seeing results. You're doing so much, and then you're not seeing the results, the outcome of your so much input, right? But then UPG has that community that helps you to be a part of the sustainability. So I would not be taking questions because of our time. Since my time is already up, I'm just going to highlight a few more things for you to look at. So when we talk about, sorry, sir, I'll need a favor from you. Could you help me just take a screenshot from your end? Because I'm unable to take from here.
I've already done that. When you check your DM, I've already done that.
Yay, thank you so much. I trust my mentor. All right, so I'm just going to highlight a few challenges that you might want to consider on a global level. We have climate issues, we have conflict issues, we have poverty, we have zero hunger. And since we have agriculturalists here, I'm sure that all these subjects relates to you, and it's important that you consider ways you can contribute significantly to address this. And these are some of the local challenges we have when we talk about sustainability. We talk about unemployment, quality education, reduced inequality, and corruption. So for my end, as a sustainability leader, I have a project I'm currently undergoing that works with young girls and women from underserved communities, and we help train them on how to address climate issues that deeply affect them, right? So we bring in the victims of climate issues and train them on how they can withstand climate issues, how they can adapt to the current existing issues, and how they can mitigate subsequent climate crisis issues that would come up. So I want to especially appreciate you all for the hearing. If you would want to connect with me, you want to know more about UPG, you can reach out to me. My name is Patience Ukangi. You can find me on LinkedIn, or probably you can speak to my mentor, Mr. Black, if you want to reach out and know more about UPG and also be a part of UPG. He's going to share my contact with you, and then you can reach out to me. So thank you so much for this opportunity, sir.
All right, thank you so much, Patience. It's It's interesting. I wish we had more time for you to talk about UPG. And this one, you're calling me your mentor. You are mentoring me. I'm mentoring you. It's a mutual mentorship. Thank you so much, Patience. We'll be moving on to our facilitator, and like she has mentioned, we will drop the her contact should you want to reach her and know more about UPG. And Patience, in the chat box, you can also drop maybe, yeah, please, so that it does not delay. You can drop your contact in the chat box, and probably the link for UPG in the chat box too. And then, yes, if you scroll down, you will see the attendance link. Attendance link is in the chat box on both Zoom and YouTube. It has been dropped early today. So without wasting much time, we've already taken so much time from our facilitator. We want to welcome our facilitator, Dr. Arit Efretuei. Dr. Arit Efretuei, who is Dr. Arit Efretuei, just like we have announced, is a senior lecturer, crop physiology in Akwa Ibom State University. Crop physiology in Akwa Ibom State University. Dr. Arit, please, you have the mic. You are a co-host. You can unmute and you can speak, Dr. Arit. Please welcome her with clap and maybe some good messages as she takes on the mic. Dr. Arit, you have the mic.
Hello everyone.
Patience, can you
me?
stop sharing? Patience, stop sharing, please.
Hello everybody, can you hear me?
Yes, doctor, we can hear you.
Yes, good evening, and I'm very happy to be here. It's a privilege to share the knowledge here and to be aware of such a great platform of people willing to learn about sustainable agriculture. So I don't know, do I need to do any further introduction? Do we just dive in, Black?
Yeah, please, you can just maybe give us a brief about yourself. Let us know who our facilitator is.
All right. Okay. My name is Dr. Arit. I work at the Department of Crop Science, Faculty of Agriculture, Akwa Ibom State University. And I have been teaching there for the past 6 years, thereabout. So I have a master's in genetics, plant genetics, and a PhD in crop physiology / agronomy. And my interests are really in nutrient use efficiency for crops and fertilizer application, just seeing how the crop responds to application of how the crop responds to biotic and abiotic stress under different conditions. So I don't know what else you think that's about it, research-wise.
Doctor, that's fine. That's fine. You can go ahead, please.
Okay, so Black, I'm kind of not sure how to move this slide now. Can you see?
I will be moving it. Once you want it, I'll move it to the next slide.
Okay, so I think you can move to the next slide now. Hello?
Yes, I
Hello?
can hear you. I'm working to do that. I want to do that now.
Okay, all right. Okay. Well, from what I hear, I think this community has a good grasp on food safety. So a lot of what I'll say will be sort of like speaking to the choir, but maybe we can learn from each other and we can reiterate what is important. Yeah, so the objective of this class is to understand the importance of food safety, preparedness in emergencies, and identify strategies to mitigate these risks and prevent future incidents, and also describe how effectively one can communicate during a food safety crisis situation. So that's the next slide, please. So what is food safety? Well, food safety covers the production, handling, preparation, distribution, storage of food in a way that will prevent foodborne diseases and outbreaks. So it's basically how can we manage what goes into our stomachs so that everybody is safe and everybody is confident of where they eat or how the food is processed. So this is what it covers. It is actually in regards to farm food safety, you'll be looking at how the journey of the food from planting all the way to harvesting, processing, storage, and finally consumption. So that's the journey for farm food safety. And you're looking really at how you can prevent foodborne illnesses of that sort. So in food safety, there are causes of there are things that lead to problems of foodborne illnesses, and these are called hazards, and the hazards are grouped into biological, chemical, and physical hazards. So here on this slide is just a depiction of different possible physical hazards you could find in your food. You name them, you can find your hair strand. Or actually today I was cooking and I saw a strand of, I don't know why, my food. So that is a physical hazard. You could see buttons, you could see, sometimes when you're cooking beans, you can see the seeds of maize inside your beans. So that, not beans, it's not poisonous, but it shouldn't be there. So anything that should not be in your food or anything that cannot be digested or could lead to maybe health risk, and yeah, it is a physical hazard. So you have to prevent that from happening. So the next slide is explaining the chemical hazard. So in chemical hazards, you have all the possible toxicants that come from the chemical area. You could have them like dishwashing liquid, perfumes, deodorant, pesticides, what's the other one? Toilet cleaner. So all these are categorized under chemical hazards. So in the next slide, will be next slide, biological hazards. Maybe I should have a code word with me and you, Black. I should just say next. Yes, whenever I hear next, you know, but I'm going to the next slide. So are we together? Is everybody hearing me? I feel like I'm talking to myself.
Yes, we can hear you, and I'm hearing your good words. The students cannot unmute and speak. They've been muted, but they can respond to you in the chat box.
Okay. It's kind of odd. I'm not used to doing this talking online. So when I'm talking, I'm used to people seeing their faces and hearing them say something. So anyway, thank you for the reassurance. So then we have the biological hazard. The major, should I say, the major suspect or the guilty one in this is bacteria. So there could be other biological hazards, but I would like to zoom in on bacteria because most of the foodborne illnesses are caused by this bad guy. So bacteria can be classified into infectious types, the toxin producing types, and the incubation period could be anywhere from 6 hours to 1 week after consumption. So, and it's found everywhere really. It's in the air, it's on your skin, it's in the soil, it's on your pet, it's in pest, or it's in clothes. Sorry, that should be pet. It's on your pet, should be on clothes. Anywhere you find them, they are. But the thing about bacteria is that not all of them are harmful, as we know. So a lot of them may be good, but some of them, the harmful ones, are the ones that are pathogens, which we must avoid. And also, they thrive excellently in high moisture conditions. So food that is rich in water, like our fruits, our vegetables, have high moisture, bacteria will grow very well there. And that is why most of the high moisture fruits are very quick to deteriorate. Then we have the bacteria is also good in high protein, it's highly acidic, high protein in neutral conditions or slightly acidic conditions. So you won't find, it's rare to find bacteria in very acidic conditions or very alkalinic conditions. They prefer neutral, and they also prefer temperatures, body temperature. So next slide. So how can these hazards come about? There are different pathways through which these hazards can occur. So I classify them, I call them hazard paths, and they can be natural, it can be unintentional contamination, and they could be deliberate. So in natural or man-made events, we have the hurricanes, floods, power outages, such as like that. But we find in Nigeria, we don't bother suffer from hurricanes, but we suffer from floods, and we suffer from a lot from power outages. So we could have those hazards coming through this incident, and also on in cases where there's unintentional adulteration of food or contamination. So you'll see more about that in the next slide. Yes. So while I was preparing for this class, I came across an interesting article that had a list of real life cases of food poisoning in Nigeria, some cases that were severe. Now bear in mind that a lot of the food poisoning cases are not reported because they are many times mild. I'm sure I'm speaking to almost 80 people here. I'm sure all of us have a story of somebody who suffered from food poisoning or some sort of way. So in Cross River State, 2008, there were 112 people hospitalized, and some even died from eating moi moi, and it was found that this moi moi had large doses of pesticides. And also the similar case in Gombe State, they had this incident of highly toxic moi moi as well. And this chemical is used to preserve beans from pests and ants or those type of things that can cause loss to the farmer. So the farmer is trying to protect himself from losing his product, at the same time, if not abiding by the guidelines or is even unaware of how harmful these things could be, is poisoning a large population of people. So some of these, after this incident, I think NAFTA banned the use of this chemical, this chloropyrifos. So next slide, please. I just took a screenshot of what happened. I think this was after the case where NAFTA banned 30 agrochemical products in 2008. Next slide. Yes, and this is another one. This one is in Kanu going forward. So 2008, fast forward to 2021, we're still having the same case. I'm sure that there are other cases reported even in this year of food poisoning. Some of them are not reported. Yeah, so next slide. And I found this one funny, but not funny because this was during the SARS, the famous SARS demonstration. So people looted palliatives and they suffered from food poisoning. So no one only knows how long those palliatives stayed in the store and what conditions they were stored under, and those poor people looking for food and desperate became victims of this crisis situation. So next slide. So why do we have many cases of this in Nigeria, in Africa? That's because there's poor cooking, poor knowledge of how to cook your food or how to handle your food store, and poor sanitation practices. Also, we have weak regulatory systems. So no, we are excellent at making laws. Our government are great at making good laws that, if followed through, will be good and will be beneficial to the public. But our system is also deficient of how to follow these laws or create scenarios or environment or conditions that would empower the bringing through of these laws, if you get what I mean. So we have weak regulatory systems. We also have insufficient financial resources to invest in safer equipment and infrastructure. And then there's a lack of knowledge about food safety practices. So many people are doing so many things to survive, and they are unaware of how those things they do will affect other people. For example, you go to the market to buy oranges, and the orange seller is washing the oranges with detergent or with clean. For him, it makes his fruit presentable, but if he's aware of the danger of washing fruit with detergent, he will not do that. But he just has to survive. So it's lack of knowledge, or cases where somebody is sprinkling a kerosene on beans. I was a victim of that. I bought beans from the market, and it was smelling of kerosene. Wondering why. So the seller is trying to save himself from losses, but who knows the effect of that on people who are vulnerable. So the overall goal of food safety agencies are to reduce contaminating foods and foodborne illnesses. So we move to the next slide. And then I thought it might interest you to list some of the food safety bodies in Nigeria, the federal government of food control agencies, the local governments, even the universities and research institutes are all part of this food safety committee membership. And going forward to the next slide, you will see the laws and regulations that come from this food safety committee. Some of them are household names, like the Standard Organization of Nigeria, that one. You see the symbol on food items when you purchase from the market or supermarket. Then we also have the Animal Disease Control. We have the National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration Control, that one we know, and so many other laws which are great, but I still think, in my opinion, that these laws need to be enforced by creating environments and creating conditions where the average or the man at the ground level is aware of the importance of food safety and has the conditions and the finance or resources to guard against foodborne illnesses. So we'll move to the next slide. So when you're preparing for food safety emergencies, first of all, we have to know that the food safety emergencies are always time sensitive, and the FAO guidelines for food safety preparation, they are these guidelines that say that food bodies must be prepared by having templates for gathering, data gathering, templates for situation reports, templates for decision trees, and materials to use in case of an emergency situation. So these things have to always be on ground, so that if there's a report of somewhere, maybe something went wrong or some food has gone into the consumption chain, these bodies must be ready to move. So when there's a notification of a crisis situation, first the bodies have to identify the source of the information, verify the source, and then follow through by knowing the nature of this damage, how many people are dead or ill, the scope of the spread. Once this preliminary information is done, there should be a move for action by the bodies involved. So next slide. Next slide. So these are the common food poisoning symptoms I thought might be interesting for us to share it, and maybe somebody could bring up something that could be of relevance. But in case anybody is not aware, but if you are suffering from, or you have a neighbor or a friend who suffers from food poisoning, some of the symptoms could show up, and these symptoms generally affect the digestive system, and they appear from hours to days after you've eaten the food. So nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal cramps, fever, headaches. So all of this is good, but you pay attention to them and seek medical help if you are a victim. Next slide. So how do you read? This class is going to show you how to reduce the risk of food poisoning at home and on the farm, like if you're a farmer, also with people who are running food businesses or outlets. So I want to start from the house. So if you are trying to reduce food poisoning, you should first know how to cook your food correctly and how to preserve your food, and follow through with the good cleaning practices. And then this is interesting, and I think it's important. You should stick to using the foods and the drinks by the use-by date on the label, even if it looks or smells good. I am a victim of this because sometimes I leave something in my food shelf and I can't believe that I left this thing past its expiry date or its use-by date. Out of curiosity, I open it to see how good it is. But when I open it, the food still looks perfect, and there's the temptation to just like eat it anyway, and nothing is going to happen. After all, nothing kills an African man, so they say. So we have to guard against this, because you may want person A may escape, but person B may not escape. So this is how to reduce food poisoning at home. So next slide. Next slide, please. So you have to also know the danger zones and understand the journey, the food chain. So first I want to talk about the food chain. So the food chain starts with production, which is where you have the planting, the harvesting, the processing, the sorting, all activities that happen from seed sowing all the way to sorting. These are important because this food is going to end on somebody's plate, in somebody's stomach. So then we talk about the purchasing, the storage, the cooking, the serving. So to be on the safe side, you have to be aware that if your food is out within or has stayed out for long within the temperature range of 4 to 60 degrees Celsius, this is a danger period because bacteria like to thrive at this stage or at this period of growth. So if your food stays at this stage, at this temperature for a long time, you have to discard the food or check it very well. Well, it's advisable
to discard it if it stays too long above or between 4 and 60 degrees Celsius. And then if you are not planning to serve your food immediately, it's better to put it in the fridge or keep it at 60 degrees or above 60 degrees. Next slide, please. So for the first stage of the food chain, which we explained in the last slide, is production. So in production, there are some things that as a farmer, you need to take into consideration. Like, you need to plant on healthy, non-contaminated soil. I often see people start planting on a previous dump site, like where they've dumped refuse for years. Maybe the sanitation body in the state have decided that they should stop dumping refuse there, and the place is cleaned up. And then in the next month, you see somebody has found a spare land to start planting on. I kind of cringe when I see that, because I know the way in Nigeria, we don't have a control system for dumping waste such as batteries, which can very easily leak harmful heavy metals into the ground. So if you have waste where all the sort of things are dumped, and then you just immediately start planting, think of the transfer of these heavy metals into the food or the plant you've grown and then straight into somebody's plate. So you have to ensure that you are planting on healthy soil. You have to ensure for proper hygiene. Like, we do a lot of subsistence farming here. So in this case, there's need to use, when you're on the farm, because you're on the farm. When you leave the farm, you have to keep your hands clean, wash your hands, because as bacteria lives in soil, there's high chance of transferring these people or these pathogens onto your food or into your house or into your eating utensils. So it's good also to work with clean clothes on the farms. Well, by clean clothes, I mean if you're putting on something that is you have to put on something where you can easily spot your dirt, so you know this is dirty. And also keep to clean farm equipment and surfaces. So basically, the advice by the food safety bodies worldwide is to practice good agricultural practices when you're farming. So also you have to look out for the quality of the water. Like, the water should be free from contaminants. Where do you get your water for irrigation? You have to check the source. Is it free from chemical, pests, things which could easily leak into your plant above the amount that are harmful to you? So also you should stick with integrated pest management. Yes, you do pest control. Sometimes it's hard to avoid the use of pesticides, but when you can, it's good to apply more sustainable ways to protect your crops from pests and weeds. So you use the integrated pest management. We'll discuss a little bit more about that in the next slide. Then use fertilizers timely and precisely. A lot of us here are aware of the nitrogen fertilizer, urea. I think that's almost the most common and readily available fertilizer in the market. Now, if you're using urea to applying urea on your vegetable farm, and you're applying it at periods when is not precise. By that I mean, say, the growth stage of your vegetable is, your plant is well past flowering, and then that's when you apply your urea. So you know that nitrogen fertilizer is good and helps in lush vegetative production. So it's always advisable to apply your nitrogen fertilizer at the stage where the plant is just beginning to grow vegetation. If you wait until it's past vegetative state and is now flowering, the plant may not readily take up back nitrogen because the plant does not need it at the time. Also, if you apply your urea fertilizer at the time when, say, there's heavy downpour of rain, what will happen? The fertilizer could be washed off into neighboring streams, or the fertilizer could be leached beyond the root zone of the crop. So if it's washed down to neighboring streams, you have the case of eutrophication. So eutrophication is when you have a wash of fertilizers into the stream and you kill your the life in the water body, because this chemical that comes from the fertilizer sort of clogs up the surface of the water and blocks the outflow of oxygen for your fishes and your aquatic life. So this is important. The way you use fertilizer, the timing, and the location, the method of application, these are important. So it's good that you seek the advice of extension agents around you, or say researchers who have done intensive or extensive work on when to apply your fertilizer and how precisely to avoid this loss into the environment and possibly contamination of water bodies and so on. So then we also have the way you harvest your grains. To harvest grains for storage, it's always advisable to harvest your grains if you want to store your grains for the next planting season. Harvest them when they are fully dry. And there's this major enemy, aflatoxin. I don't know if we've all heard about that, of aflatoxin. So aflatoxin is a fungus which naturally comes from, it's a natural substance that comes from the fungus Aspergillus flavus. And aflatoxin is noted for causing jaundice or liver damage in people, or even liver cancer. So if you harvest your grains when you're not dry, or you store your grains in conditions where there's dampness, it could lead to a buildup of this toxic substance. And so how do you guard against aflatoxin? You keep your storage facilities dry, you store clean grains, you store grains that have as low moisture content as possible. And then you also look out for moldy growth on your grains. If you see any moldy growth, you immediately discard that seed. Then the last point here is the distance between vegetable farms from livestock farms. So it's always advisable to kind of have your farms, especially crops that are eaten raw, try and distance them from livestock farms to avoid the spread of zoonotic diseases. Think of Ebola, think of swine flu. So if there's a good control system or a good distance from this, we may avoid the spread of these diseases. So the next slide, please. So I put this a nice picture up from this website. You can find this. For more information, you can visit the website just at the bottom of this slide. So this is integrated pest management, and how do you control your crops to avoid to reduce the harmful effect of pesticides on crops. So it's good to explore other options like cultural control, mechanical, biological, chemical controls. You can combine them. So mechanically, you can, culturally, you can use practices such as crop rotation, cover cropping, or also practices that would help you to guard against pests. So biologically, you can use predators. All these things will help you to avoid the use of excessive chemicals on your crops. So next slide. So that we've gone through the first food chain, which is the planting and all the processes involved in planting. So now we are on the next food chain, purchasing. So when you've harvested your products, you sorted it, you now go whoever the people who go to purchase from the farm to sell. So if you're somebody who owns a food business or a food outlet, you have to look out, make sure you purchase fresh food as much as possible. You look at the quality of the food you're buying. Check for broken parts, insect spots, or things that could lead to, that show that the food is already starting to go. Maybe soft spots and bad spots. Also, if you're buying you're buying frozen meat from a store, check temperature of storage, check for expiry date, check that the food has not stayed in a condition where it is stored and frozen. In some cases, you can spot bad food, bad meat when the color is not as bright pink as you should. So now the difference between best before and used by, just for anybody who's unaware or does not know the difference. So if your food is purchased and there's written best before on the body, it means that after that date, you may still eat the food if it looks good, if it smells good, if it tastes good and it looks fine, you could still eat it. But if your product has a use by date, so after that date, you should discard the product because it may lead to health risk. Next slide, please. So the next point on the food chain is the storage. Here, you have to store your food abiding or following some certain conditions to guard yourself from foodborne illnesses or contamination. So just try to keep your food covered all the time and try to store fresh meat away from ready-to-eat meat, because this is where you have flow of toxic bacteria into the ready-to-eat food. And also practice not storing your raw vegetables over ready-to-eat food, because sometimes those vegetables could have a drip of fluid down to what you're ready to eat, because the ready-to-eat food is not sometimes eaten without heating up. So try and avoid that. And try to keep your food stored above the floor as much as possible. Next slide, please. So in the case of power outage, you have to, which is so common here in Nigeria, if you find yourself in this scenario, you can have your food stored 4 hours in the refrigerator. If the refrigerator is not open, can stay there for 4 hours after power outage. And in the freezer, it will stay 48 hours if the freezer is full. But if the freezer is half full, you keep it for 24 hours, provided the door is not open. This can be hard to do in a household of many people, but it's just good to be aware of how long your food can stay safe. If these conditions are not kept, then it's better to take your food out and put them in situations where we reduce the flow or the growth or multiplication of bacteria. Okay, next slide. So the next stage after the storage is the cooking and the serving. Now this is interesting. I find it very interesting because sometimes when we are heating our food up, we may not know that the heat has not completely penetrated to the internal parts of the food. So this is the global food safety body has said that internal cooking temperatures for food should be 75 degrees Celsius or above. But some recommendations are lower, like you can see on this slide. There's recommendation for meat like steak and pork. I think that depends on how thick the meat is at the time. But temperature should be 75 degrees or above, and try to cook your food in a continuous step. Avoid partial pre-cooking. Avoid overloading your oven or your fryer, and also guard against cross-contamination. So this is very possible when you're chopping raw meat and at the same time going to chop raw vegetables. You can have utensils but are not washed thoroughly, and there's a transfer of pathogens from one place to another. And then for food restaurants or big restaurants, you could employ using temperature probes. That will help to tell you how hot your food is inside before you turn down your fire. And then when you're serving, try to avoid touching the eating ends of the utensils, and try not to mix old food with new food. And if you have to serve your food for a large group of people, ensure that the temperature is maintained, the proper temperature is maintained to reduce the growth or multiplication of bacteria. Next slide. Oof, this is when I kind of feel we should take a break. I wish. Black, is everybody there? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You have 103 students listening to you currently. Please, if you can hear Doctor, put in the chat box that you can hear her. Put some word of encouragement for her. She's doing excellently well.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, it's hard when you're talking to yourself in a room and nobody's talking back. Okay, so the next slide is look out for personal hygiene for public food outlets. This may not apply to all of us, but can just for the take-home message, just try to apply all these rules when you're cooking to avoid the spread of bacteria or even the spread of chemicals to your food. So if you're using cleaning agents, once you're done with it, take it away. Because don't leave that bleach beside or don't leave the bleach on your cooking top or your preparation area, because the fume or the chemicals could kind of leak into your food and yes, and lead to a contamination. So if you're ill, the global advice is to stay away, especially when you have sickness like diarrhea or runny tummy, or you're coughing or you're sneezing. The advice is that even after you recover, you should stay away for 48 hours from your food. This is for public outlets because it may not be very practical when you're in your house and you're cooking. But be aware that if you have a restaurant, if you have a food business you're running, to abide by this law, because I'm telling you something, one bad case could just damage your business. One person goes and eats something bad, it can lead to a shutdown of your restaurant. So then you should try to clean with lukewarm water and use bleach, and then try as much as possible to keep the place clean and deny pests of food and shelter. So you can also spot the presence of cockroaches or even rats or mice by looking out for their droppings and also their smell. Because if you can smell rat poo or rat pee or even the cockroach, you can perceive them. Once you perceive them, you have to take preventive or protective measures for your food. Yes, next slide, please. Next slide, please. So I just put this here as something you should know. It's simple, but it's paramount. Some of us don't stick to this rule when we are washing our hands. But if we try to practice it, let me put you all on a challenge. For the next 5 days, when you're washing your hands, be conscious of these steps. Like wet your hands with clean water, put it under the tap, get some soap and start to form a lather, rub it for 20 seconds. And when you're rubbing, rub inside out. And then you rinse it under the tap and then you turn off with a paper towel and yes, dry your hands with clean paper towel. So if you practice this washing properly, you can reduce the flow of pathogens from yourself to another person or even to your food, the food that you're eating or you're serving other people. So next slide. I'm sure that we might have already have heard of HACCP, saying that this is a food safety and growth for sustainable agriculture. We probably heard of this, but let's discuss it a little more. And let's kind of make it practical. Let's bring it down to ourselves here. So hazard analysis, and hazard is an acronym for hazard analysis and critical control points. And what it does, it analyzes the food chain before they cause any problem. So it's basically a system or a series of steps that is followed by, say, a business owner or a food outlet looking at possible ways to brainstorming on possible ways where food contamination from the beginning of the food chain to the end. So this is what it does. So the global body has asked that food organizations should have a certification in this training so that they can guard against food contamination or foodborne illnesses. So the basic principles are really, in conducting a hazard analysis, you conduct biological, chemical, and physical hazards. And for example, let's say if you're making vegetable salad, so you have to check what are the possible ways, or if you're selling vegetable salad in your shop, you have to think what are the possible ways pathogen could get in and spread. How can I guard against that? Look for, from the beginning, I buy my vegetable. Where do I get my vegetable from? Who is serving me? Which farm do I get it from? Where is the farm located? What are the practices the farmer uses to produce his crop? What kind of chemical does he use? What kind of chemical does he use on tomato? When does he apply the chemical before he harvests it? Does he give the chemical time? Does he follow the guidelines for applying the chemical? That's one stage of your production. You're checking all this, ticking the boxes, knowing how your tomato is sourced on the farm. And then when it comes to your shop, when you arrive or in your restaurant or your kitchen, what are the processes involved? When I'm chopping my tomato, okay, first, where do I store them? How do I keep them? So am I keeping them under temperatures that are conducive for multiplication of bacteria? Or did I expose my tomato to rodents such as rat or cockroaches? Have they been tampered with by all these harmful pests? Okay, let's pass that stage. Let's go to the stage where you start to chop the tomato, so preparing it for your salad. What type of utensils do you use? What sort of chopping board do you use? Is your chopping board the type, the plastic type where the small tiny particles from the plastic could transfer into your tomato, which again goes into the food that you're serving to or you're selling to people. So you have to check this. So this is what hazard analysis does. Hazard just checks biological possible contaminants that could come from biology, that could come from chemical, could come physically. And then you now, once you have identified the risk stages at all this period, you now have to set out ways to control, to guard against this. So like keep tab of critical control points, which is the most critical point in the acronym, hazard analysis and critical control points. So you have to check for the critical control points in each stage of your food production or your food chain. This is the next slide. Next slide, please. So these are the aspects of hazard. Here we have the identify potential hazards, identify the critical points. Then you start to establish corrective measures, corrective actions to control this, and then you keep records of these critical points. Because if your restaurant is under inspection by the food body or any of the food organizations in Nigeria, they want to see that these things are you're keeping records and keeping tab of all these points, and you are taking preventive measures from food poisoning. So it's very serious matter in different parts of the world, especially in developing countries like America or in Britain, where they have regular inspections by food organizations. Once these things are not kept or they don't abide by the certain rules for HACCP, your business could be shut down. Or you can, if you're following it, you could have let me see, they have these stickers that they put on doors of restaurants where it's like it has different stages where you have the body has ticked excellent, good, not very good. So if the body sticks good on your door, how do you think that will resonate to your customers or your consumers as regards to the body sticks excellent on your door? So this is a big issue for food businesses outside Nigeria. In Nigeria, we are still growing, we're still getting there, but it's good that we are aware of this for the safety of ourselves. I mean, we try to do the best for ourselves, by ourselves, and we hope that other people will do the best so that we can all live in a safe place and be confident of what we eat. Next slide, please. So what to do in a food safety event? So these are some of the stages where for the food bodies in different locations. So first you have control measures. So once a food or a food premises is linked to an outbreak, you remove implicated food, you kind of modify the production processes. There are different options, possible options to go around these control measures once some problem is spotted. Then also could lead to closing the premises. Sometimes it could get to such a drastic point where the business is shut down temporarily until such a time as it is assessed as fit and they have readdressed their critical point. So then it's reopened. So it can also go lead to a recall of the food that has been released to the public. So sometimes these recalls are done by the businesses themselves, just for voluntary, to protect themselves from getting from having a bad reputation, a bad name. And then the businesses and authorities must be well notified of the processes in this crisis situation. Next slide. Next slide, please. So the procedure for food recall is listed here. So it's the initiation and responsibility of recall. So like we said before, food recalls can be initiated by businesses or at the request of the health authorities. So if a business refuses to comply, food seizure may occur, and most recalls are voluntary. Also, the timing is paramount, and timing for recall is dependent on the type of food, the product type, and the impact of recovery. So the sooner a food risk is identified, the more likely it can be recovered. So fresh foods are hard to recover due to their short shelf life, but while frozen or shelf-stable foods can be easily recovered. And then in this process of recovering, the authorities need to evaluate factors like risk level, how many people have been affected by this, how many people are dead, how many people are ill, the availability of the product, and the likelihood of consumer possession before initiating a recall. So these decisions must be well documented and kept in place. Then in all of these recall, there must be good communication. So the businesses must be communicating directly with the local health authorities and also with the public for a recall. There were cases like that in the UK when people have been asked to stop eating a certain type of a certain batch of fruit or salad that had been released to the market. So when that happens, there has to be a constant update of how far, how spread the product has gone and who have been affected. And also the public must be notified or trained on what to do if they feel any symptoms. If they have consumed this, what are the symptoms? You have to quickly consult a health professional. Then there is also a follow-up and corrective action. So what happened? Why was there a need for a recall? What went wrong? Who missed something or what was missed? What critical points were not taken into consideration for this to happen? So there must be a thorough follow-up on the businesses that were involved, and corrective measures must be in place. Yes, next slide, please. So the best practices for a food recall, there are stakeholders involved in food recalls. The stakeholders are the public, the suppliers or distributors, and then the internal communication, that's the staff members. So the public, you must be able to communicate thoroughly with the public using different media, sort of like internet, radio, and all, and have continuous recall notices. Then the suppliers must be able to trace and follow through on how the food chain, how it has gone, and be able to halt distribution. So all these people, all these players are involved in the food recall business, and there must be an established communication so that you're not missing out at any point. And this is why there should always be a template involved, well prepared in advance before this happens, because this could happen, and when this happens there is like a scare, everybody's running helter-skelter. How do we solve the problem? But if there's already something on ground, knowing how to act immediately if there's a crisis, there will be less people hurt or wounded from a food crisis situation. So next slide, please. Yeah, so I'm happy to say that brought us to the end. So in summary, so we have to take note of the preparedness and action to reduce health and reputational impact, because a food crisis situation is costly. People's health are involved, businesses are at risk, people's family who are feeding from those businesses are going to suffer. The reputation of a business, which could be lifelong, is also at jeopardy. So communication must be timely and accurate, and preventive strategies must be involved. So what can you do to ensure that you are not an agent of spread of a contaminant? What can I do to ensure that I am not an agent of spread? So that could start right from your kitchen. How do you practice personal hygiene, and then transferring all the way to your workplace? As a farmer, how do you practice the use of chemicals, pesticides? Are you using the same sprayer for that you use for to spray your say your used to kill pests, and the same one to kill weeds. So you have to work out on all these measures so that you prevent the spread, or you're not an agent of spread. So thank you very much. Over to you, back.
Yes, thank you, thank you so much, Doctor. Before you go, please, Doctor, I'd like you to put on your camera, if it's okay by you, to put on your camera briefly so that your students can actually see the face behind the very beautiful voice. Please, Doctor, if that's okay by you, but if your environment is not very okay, we can skip that. I just said to ask because I think someone had already even asked before I did. Will that be okay for you?
Well, yeah.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Can you bring down your camera a little bit?
Okay.
It's facing a bit up. Oh wow. I think our students will really appreciate, and thank you so much. I believe everybody will agree with me that your voice has a very calming and soothing um uh, effect on people. You're talking as if you don't want to talk, and in the end you're giving us some very, 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 very vital information. Your class has been one of the most interesting. Your class has been one of the most impactful. Your slides have all the information. Kehinde who is already laughing. I know everybody, most people must have experienced this, where you're using a very slow and calm tone, but delivering very impactful information. Thank you so much, Doctor. And I'll use this
Thank you.
opportunity to tell all the students here that Doctor is one of the lecturers from Akwa Ibom State University. We've had like 4 of our colleagues who have been facilitators here, and they have all come here on voluntary notes. They were their senior colleague, Professor Edna, reached out to them and told them that there are a group of young farmers, young people that are eager to learn how to farm better. And they all signed up and said, let's go there and also train them. Let us contribute our quota to development of farming in Nigeria. And here we are. She took her time and developed this beautiful and this heavy laden slide that you saw today, and also came to present. So please, I just want you to put in the chat box, appreciate her, appreciate her, appreciate her. We'll be taking some questions now. And please, when you come to take questions, I'll give you, you will have just 2 minutes. 2 minutes, number one, start with an appreciation. Number two, tell us where you're calling from, you're joining the class from, and then you ask your question briefly. As you can see, we're already out of time. We normally close by 5:30. But today the class has been very, very impactful, and yes, we had like 2 presentations. So please, we'll just take questions, and I'll take questions from 3 people. If you have spoken before, I'm sorry, I will not call you. Let others speak. So you tell us where you're calling from, you appreciate Doctor, and then you ask your question. Okay, so let us have Samson Afolabi. Samson Afolabi, you have been asked to unmute. Please, in less than 2 minutes, ask your question and tell us where you're calling from. If you're speaking, you're muted. Samson's.
Hello.
All right. Yes, go ahead,
Hello.
Samson.
Okay.
Go ahead, Samson.
I am Samson Afolabi from Edo State. Initially, I quickly want to thank our guest speaker, guest lecturer for a very wonderful delivery. But my question is this: like we have been following all along, we talk about food safety. Apart from NAFDAC, which we know talk about food and all the drugs administration, and maybe the produce inspection in ministries of agri, and also the veterinary division that inspects meat. Is there any specific regulatory agency in the country that monitors quality and safety of food farm products between the farm and the market? It's already in the chat. That's just my question.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. And okay, yeah, I'll let Doctor answer that question. But okay, yeah, let me let her answer that question. Doctor, you have the mic.
Thank you. In my slide, I listed some bodies that for food safety, under the food safety committee, there are some laws and regulations. So the NAFDAC is one which you mentioned, and then there is the Animal Disease Control Decree. It's actually a law, but you have the fall under sort of, there is the marketing of breast milk substitute. They are all laws and regulations, but they are controlled by the previous bodies which I mentioned, the food safety bodies, the local government, the state government, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. And also note that the NIFATS which you mentioned is a law and a regulation. So they are controlled by these systems, and they have the mandate to look out for the safety of farm produces, also drugs and related products in the market. Yeah, I don't know if I answered that question well. There's also the Standard Organization of Nigeria. Have you heard of that one?
Yes, I've heard.
Yes,
Yeah.
Doctor, you've answered. I think one of the major challenges we have in Nigeria, like you have said here over and over and over again, is implementation, and that is why so many people do not know these
Exactly.
agencies.
Enforcement.
So many of these agencies exist. We have agencies. I don't know if you've heard of the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service. Those
Yes.
people, basically, they are in the border and they check agricultural produce going out. But internally, domestically, and NAFDAC is actually crippled because most of the people going to the market, the open markets, they are not formal sector. They are just smallholder farmers. If you do not brand your product, if you do not package your product, NAFDAC, so you go to the market, you see pepper that is measured in mudu, you see maize, you see egusi that they are just grinding with hand. NAFDAC is unable to monitor those people, and unfortunately, that counts for majority of the food that we eat.
You consume, yes.
And in fact, the only time NAFDAC will come to you is if you put label and if you put in packet and they see you in supermarkets. NAFDAC is unable to go into the open market. So there is a big issue in implementation, which doctor has mentioned over and over again. But if you're asking for agencies, we have them in plenty quantity. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We'll go on to the next question. Someone is asking if there's attendance. Yes, attendance was pasted in the group, but I will paste it again shortly when this question is going on, and you will be able to take the attendance. The next person is Ifeanyi Onubo. Ifeanyi Onubo, you have the mic. Tell us where you're calling from. Appreciate doctor, and also go ahead to ask your question. You've been asked to unmute. If you're
Okay,
speaking, you're muted. Ifeanyi, unmute and speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. First, thank you very much, Doctor, for this insightful session. I really appreciate your time and the knowledge you shared. So, my question is, when you were talking about chilling as a way of preventing bacterial growth and also reducing foodborne illness, I want to ask, can steaming be used as an alternative to that? And again, in terms of flooding as one of the physical safety hazards in food production, what measures do you think can be taken to mitigate such tragedy? I've already asked the question in the chat box, so thank you very much.
Please, where did you say you're calling from?
Sorry, I'm calling from Imo State. Sorry,
From where?
Imo State.
Okay, excellent. Okay, Imo State. Go ahead. Okay, doctor, did you pick his questions? You want to
Yes,
go?
yes, the steaming, steaming can be if you don't have electricity. Yes, we do it. You can use steaming to reduce the multiplication of bacteria, actually. Because when you're steaming it, you're putting it at a temperature that is not conducive for bacterial growth. But the question is, how long can you keep it steaming? Because if you steam it too long, you may damage your the content of your food. You may cook your food to dead, like completely dead. So you can steam, but you can do it for a short period, not long. I would advise steaming for a very long time. Like steam today or steam now, then steam again in the afternoon, then steam again in the night. And the more you steam, the less nutritional quality. I say. Yeah. Then the next question was on sorry, can you I don't think did I get the next question? Sure.
Okay, the second question was about flooding as one of the physical safety hazards. So what measures do you think can be taken to mitigate such tragedy? You know, it's a very big problem to most farmers, especially smallholder farmers in our society. So how do you think we can actually
Yeah,
cope
if
such?
you're in flooding, see flooding, if you're in flooding, you can have different control measures in the farm and off the farm. Maybe at the stage of planting, there are different agricultural practices to guard from flooding or protect your crop from flooding. That you could do practice raised beds. So if you raise your planting on mounds, to practice raising your beds. I'm sure you know what a bed is. If you plant on beds and then you plant on mounds, you could reduce the harmful effect of flooding. But in regards to safety of food when you're storing, if protection from flooding is no more an individual thing, it's now a community and it's now a government thing because you guard from flooding by establishing good drainage. You can do that in your house, you can do that in your surrounding, but if it's not done in the state or in the town where you are, you may still be a victim of flooding. So I really if you're storing, maybe you could try to store your product on stacked and very raised high above the water level. You could do that. But it's a thing you can control, but it's also a thing that you cannot control if it gets out of hand, like city-wise or state-wise. That you need drainage system.
All right,
Yeah.
doctor. Thank you so much. We'll be taking just one more question from Iyanoluwa Adekanbi. Iyanoluwa Adekanbi, unmute. Tell us where you're calling from. Ask your question.
Good evening. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, good evening. My name is Yanlo Adekombi. I'm calling from Abaji in FCT. Yeah, I want to appreciate GSAI. So far, they have actually expanded my knowledge. It has been like weeks of knowledge receiving every time. And right now, I'm also preaching GSAI everywhere. My students, I tell you about food safety, and I'm very, very happy. Then I want to appreciate our speaker for today too. Thank you very much for the knowledge. We appreciate. Now, my question is, as a farmer, we try to put in all these practices on the farm, post-harvest handling, and make sure it is safe for people to eat. But meanwhile, along the line, why this food is moving from the farm to the people that buy it before they take to the market, they try to bring in some other poisoning that actually affects the buyers at the other hand, the consumers. What can we do as a farmer in our own part to be able to monitor these people? I don't know. Is there a way we can monitor them to the last consumer? Then my second question is that about food poisoning. Let's assume after everything in the house, you actually you fall victim of food poisoning. What can we do as a fast remedy to be able to come out of it on time to avoid running out to hospital or anything? Thank you, ma.
Well, what can you do as a farmer to ensure that your product is sold and is safe at the end of the day? Your product is safe and is secure for the consumer. Well, you can do your part where you protect what you are planting. But it's difficult to say because that's why food safety is not a thing for one person, it's a thing for everybody. So you do your part and pray that the next person who handles your product does his part. So I think that's what I see. You gotta follow the guidelines for using your pesticides, your chemicals, follow the guidelines for how you plant your product, follow the guidelines for how you store, and then hope and pray that your product, when it moves from storage to consumer, is well preserved. You could
Thank you,
also
doctor.
practice awareness. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, doctor. And to that question, I just want to add, remember in our previous lessons, we've talked about traceability and we've talked about record keeping. So how your own part is ensuring that you keep your records and you ensure traceability. In your part, where did you get your inputs from? and all the items that come from you, as much as you can, try a way to make sure that you can identify the products that have gone out from your hand, and then you keep your records properly. So should they say that people died because of moi moi, or there was tummy ache because of moi moi, you can conveniently tell them by your records and by your documentations and by your traceability plan that it is not from the beans that came from your farm. So your part is ensuring safety, is ensuring traceability and proper documentation. Should there be a crisis, you can easily remove yourself from that crisis. But when you have not done that part, they will lump everybody up, and then in fact, if they are banning the farmers of producing beans in that community, they will ban you inclusively. So I think let us not take these lectures in isolation. All of them are intertwined. What Doctor has said today is closely related to what every other facilitator for the past 13 classes have been telling us, and then we can all put it together. So we will be coming to an end of this class. We've overshot our time so much. Doctor, we sincerely appreciate you. We thank you for the time you've taken. So I will still be going back to the students because they are the greatest beneficiary of this. I keep saying student participants. These are big CEOs. These are owners of big farms. These are people that have money and are investing in agriculture and are redefining agriculture. So they are not students, they are participants. So I'll just be going back to 3 participants to appreciate. This is just an appreciation on behalf of all the students. Tell us where you're from, an appreciation. Don't ask any question. We will not take any more questions. Just appreciate Doctor. And like I said, attendance is in the chat box in the Zoom and in the YouTube. You can find the attendance there. So please, we'll just take I will call names that I've never done before. Okay, Eze Chinwendu. Eze Chinwendu, you have been asked to unmute. Please just appreciate the lecturer on behalf of all the students. Tell us where you are joining from.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Eze Chinwendu. I'm calling from Anambra State. I want to thank Doctor. Your lecture has been really insightful. We thank you very much for finding out time to impact knowledge on us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Eze Chinwendu, for that very, very short and apt appreciation. Let's go to Godwin Nekre. Godwin Nekre, you have the mic. Unmute and speak.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I sincerely want to appreciate our lecturer, or the presenter, you, the moderator. Thank you so much, and much more our facilitator, Doctor. Thank you so much. It was insightful. Though I have questions, but they said no time for questions. So thank you so much. We really appreciate. God bless you, man.
Thank you, Godwin, for sticking to the plan. I'm not asking questions. I'm sure we will be. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. So, Doctor, we will keep talking. Thank you, everybody. We just have 2 classes remaining, and I have made some announcements. In our next class, we are going to do a demo quiz. I want to show you how to do quiz on Zoom, because it is that quiz we are going to use to decide the remaining 4. Today, 2 people have gotten their slots for onboarding, for step down training in their communities. We had 2 people that came early and answered questions that were asked. It was just a random question. There was no announcement, so nobody should come and say they did not tell us. It was an impromptu test. Let me say it like the way that they say it in school. So please, it was just unplanned. 2 people got that slot and they've already gone. So there are remaining 4 slots for step down training. A quiz will be held on the last day, that is 28th, and that is 27th. And remember, our classes usually hold on Saturdays, but the last class will be on Friday, because the next day, Saturday, is our summit. So the quiz will hold on Friday. On that Friday too, we will be having the representative of the Minister of Agriculture in the person of the Director, Agricultural Extension Department, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. He will be addressing us. I want to plead with us. I'll be putting the announcements. I want to plead with us to come on time. He will be the first person to speak. So please let him not come and speak to 40 to 20 students. I want him to speak to a large number of students. And like I said, you possibly may win something when he's speaking. But he's coming to close the session in preparation for our summit. So we will be having him. He's representing the Minister for Agriculture in that training. So, and then at the end of that training, in the end, we'll be having the quiz. Please, those of you that are on YouTube, please, the quiz will only hold on Zoom. So if you have to go and get another phone, if you have to borrow a phone, if you have to download Zoom, please do so. We will not do the quiz on YouTube. The quiz will only hold on Zoom. This Zoom can carry as many as 500 students. So please, if everybody comes here, we will hold a quiz here. Next class, we will do a demo. Yes, and before I forget, some people won 2,000 naira airtime support for their participation in the Farm app. This week, we are going to send out those. We've not forgotten. We have the list. 10 people won that. We are going to send that out. Attendance is in the list. And then, yes, your certificates. Please, the last day to pay the subsidized fee for certificate is on the 27th. That is the last class of this training. That is the last day to pay 5,000. Please, after that day, do not bother to come and say, sir, please, can I still pay 5,000? After that day, if you pay 5,000 naira, we will refund you. After that day, 12 midnight that day, certificate goes back to its original price of 20,000 naira. So please, if you're interested in certificates, you will get it via, you will pay the subsidized fee only between today and that 27th. Certificate will come after the training. Certificate is in e-copy. If you need hard copy, that will be an extra cost. But I'm telling you, there's no need to ask us to do hard copy. The certificate you're going to get, you can print it at your ends. It will come with a barcode for verification because it is a certificate that you can use to submit for those of you applying to get safety certification for your farms. You can submit this certificate. For those of you trying to get supply contracts in big companies like ShopRite, like any big production facility that you can submit these certificates. Those of you trying to get jobs as a safety consultant in agri setups, you can submit these certificates. So you can print it. It comes with a barcode. That barcode is used to verify the certificate. So don't bother and say anybody can print it. If you print it and they scan the barcode to verify and it is not the same details that are there, that's going to be a problem. So the certificate is coming as e-copy in your emails. You can print it. You are free to print it. The barcode will also reflect in your printing. I don't know if there's any other question as per. Then yes, the training materials are free. This training is 100% free. So we will send the training materials in the WhatsApp group to all the students. You can get the training material. I think the last 2 training materials have not been sent, so they will be sent alongside this training material. I don't know if there's any question as per this training, not question as per the class, not today's class, as per training. I'll just take 1 or 2 questions. The Nigeria Farmers Townhall Summit is holding on Saturday, and we have not been able to secure funding to sponsor anybody. However, we have provided sponsorship letters to those that requested for it, and we are hopeful that they will be able to get sponsorship to attend the summit. The summit is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. We are going to be having very, very insightful activities. The food safety policy is going to be broken down. We are going to have a technical session, and then we are going to have Federal Minister of Agriculture. They are going to be there. We are going to have representative from Federal Minister of Livestock Development. It's going to be a very, very beautiful experience. And if you cannot attend physically, it is going to also be streamed on our YouTube live. So you're going to receive information about on YouTube. So we have not gotten funding to sponsor anybody's attendance yet. And unfortunately, today, Saturday, I do not know if we are able to sponsor anybody and the person is able to move anytime. But for now, we've not been able to get the sponsorship we needed to sponsor anybody. So that is all the information. I'll just, I see some hands still up. Please, if you're asking question about today's training, that session is over. But if you are asking a question about the project, something you will need clarification on, I'll just take 4 questions. So if you know your question is not about the project, you can just bring down your hands so that those that have questions about the project can ask. Okay, I have Maduka Juliet here. You have been asked to unmute quickly. Maduka Juliet, you can speak if your question is about the project. Okay. Okay. Nekre. Godwin Nekre.
Okay. Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. In regards to, they said there's going to be a live on field farm tour. I don't know. You've not mentioned it, whether that one too was cancelled. And then
Okay,
secondly, yeah, and
go ahead, please.
secondly, yes, on the certificate, sir, the payment apart from the initial amount for the payment for certificate, aside that one, is there any extra charges for certificates again? And
No,
what if you paid? Okay, what if you paid and then your attendance is not up to the required attendance that is supposed to? In that case, what is it going to be done for when you paid and then you've not met up with the attendance? How is it going to be like? Thank you.
okay, thank you for that question. Let me answer the first question about the farm tour. Yes, we are having a food safety field day and farm tour. It has not been cancelled. It is holding on Thursday, 26th. And why I have not so much been talking about that is because it is not free. It is actually, and it is the second component of this project, people are paying for their transportation and their entry fee because we are all moving from one location, and it is basically for people in Abuja and environ. So I've not really been saying it here because I have students coming to tell me, sir, how do we attend? How do we attend? And I really do not have an answer for that. So yes, it has not been cancelled. If you are able to pay for the field trip, please, by all means, pay. On Thursday, we will be going to see one of the most automated and most mechanized farms in Nigeria. It is the CSS farms. You can Google it. It is the CSS farms on Abuja Kefi Express Road. They have all the value chain you can ever think of. I really, really wish we were able to take as many people to go there, but unfortunately, there are cost expenses that we are unable to take. So only those that are able to pay for that trip are able to go. And that's why I've not really mentioned it. It has not been cancelled, but it is still on. So if you're able to pay, you can meet the project officer via one of the admins. He will show you he will give you the project officer's number, and you can contact him and make your payment. About the certificates, yes, the criteria, like I told you, this is not just one of those certificates of attendance you tear to people. This is a certificate that has weight, and it has criteria. The criteria that we were given to issue this certificate is students must attend 50% of the class. We are going to have 16 classes. That means you must attend at least 8. Now, if you are not able to attend 8 for whatever reason, and let me say it here because I've told some people, yes, we may, if you attend 7, we may close our eyes. Probably if you attend 6, we will close our eyes. But anything from 5 down, you will have to buy the recordings of extra classes to make up to at least 8. So let's say you attend 3 classes and you've paid for certificates. You have to buy the recordings of 3 classes. When you buy those recordings, extra 3 classes, it is our proof that you've attended at least 50% of the training. But if you attended at least 6 classes, we can overlook. The standard is 8, but we can overlook 7, 6. But if you're attending only 4 classes, you have to buy 2 more classes to make it at least 8. If you've attended only 3 classes and you paid for certificate, you have to buy 5 more classes, and as the case may be. So your question, first and foremost, there is no extra charge to certificates. Certificate is, 1, is optional, is not compulsory. 2, is just at a subsidized fee of 5,000 for those that want it. But we were given a condition that the students that are getting certificate must attend at least 50%. And if you've not attended at least 50%, you have to buy the classes. The recording, that one is our own business. We have been recording these classes. You buy the recording, you choose the classes you want to attend, you look at the topics and you say, okay, I want class 5, class 6, class 3. The recording is just 2,000 naira only. You buy the recordings and augment, and then you will get your certificate. But if you've attended at least 50%, in fact, if you've attended 6 classes minimum, you will get your certificate, no extra charge. I hope I have answered that question. Now I've seen hands. Shafa Salma, please, this is already 6 o'clock. We'll be closing, but Shafa Salma, take your question.
Yeah. Okay. Where this guy doing now?
Godwin Nekra, are you speaking?
No.
Shafa Salma, your hand is up. You have the mic. If you're speaking, you're muted. Doctor, please, I can see you're still on the call. You can go if you wish, but if you're still okay being in the class, no problem, doctor. I just said, let me notify you that you can be excused if you wish. Or you want to say something?
Actually, I'm
Hello, sir.
enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
Okay, no problem, please. No problem. Yes, Shafa Salma, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Well, pertaining the 28 climax of the program at Abuja, sir. Actually, sir, sometimes, the network is really too bad that from part of the Nigerian villages, you hardly get it very clear. You have to really look for location. So, sir, can you press more buttons so that if there will be physical sponsorship, so that at least if few of us can represent, even if it's on zonal level, not south, northeast, we will be glad, sir. Honestly, if there is physical sponsorship, physical presence, plus the visual online attendance, we will appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you for that. I want to assure you, my brother, in my life, this is the first time I have written plenty letters and I've attended many meetings and I have gotten plenty promises. Unfortunately, those promises are not coming at the time we want. In fact, the sponsorship for our step down training, it is coming very late. That is why we cannot even do it simultaneously. So it is just late that we got our final approval. So, but yes, I will not give up hope. We will still keep trying. And even if we get sponsorships by Thursday, those that will be available to travel, depending on what we get, we will reach out. But for now, like I kept saying, I do not want to put anybody on hopes. We have not gotten that sponsorship. We keep trying. We have sent out letters. And we've also supported some of the students with sponsorship letters, those ones that asked. We've given them, and we are hoping that something fruitful will come out. Okay, so I will not, okay. Chika, Eric, and Lucky, those are the last people that will take questions from, and we'll close. Chika, Eric, you have the mic.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Doctor, for the class of today. All right, I want to ask regards the recording. For someone who has always been in attendance is not the issue, but would like to have maybe to buy the recordings for further learning. Is that permitted, sir?
Oh, yes, please. Yes, the recording, beyond it being a way to make people meet up for the classes, is very available for purchase. If you need it, you can reach out to us and say, I need class 1, I need class 2, I need class 3. Is like I mentioned, it's just 2,000 naira for each class. It is permitted to buy, and yes,
right.
that is
Thank
it.
you, sir. Okay.
Yes, check Eric. Okay. So finally, Lucky, you have the mic. Lucky, you ask your question. Lucky, you've been asked to unmute. Unmute and ask your question. Lucky, if you're speaking, you're muted, please. Okay, I think Lucky's hand is not, we can't hear him. Okay, thank you, everybody. We've gone far past. Please, I just needed to make those announcements and those clarifications. Attendance is in the WhatsApp group. My God, people are still asking for attendance. We have posted attendance severely. Please, attendance is in the chat group. Scroll up before, because we're about to close this meeting today. Thank you for everybody that stayed to the end of here. Those people that got their step down training slots, please send us a DM. Send us a DM. Thank you, Dr. Arit. I just saw your message. Thank you, everybody. And see you on Tuesday. Where we'll have the next class and we'll have the demo quiz. All right, everybody.